Greetings and welcome to this session where we will be talking about how to use this particular Google Data Notebook. Alright, so the first thing I want you to notice is that we are in a Google spreadsheet. So this allows us to have multiple spreadsheets within this one workbook, okay? Now, if you are in my district, this may look familiar to you, and that is awesome. Also, this has already been set up for us in order to make our lives easier. Of course, it can be edited, modified in order to fit the child. So the first thing we're going to look at column A. I see it has student name, annual goal, objective and benchmark, how often the data collection is required, and type of data collected. I see some dates and some scores down here. Those are just there as placeholders in order to help you see this graph. And I can see that this graph is measuring the objective, not the annual goal. Of course, if you are watching this and you are from a different district than where I'm from, DPSNC, then you will have to create this from scratch. And in order to get the graph into a Google Sheet, you would definitely want to go ahead and search YouTube and look for a video on how to insert a graph. Okay? Alright. So in setting this up, I first want to give it the child's name. In order to do that, I need to know which child I'm talking about. For the purpose of this video, I do have a fake IEP that I am using. It does not represent a real child, and it is just stuff that has been made up off the top of my head. Alright? Alright, so first I'm going to go and find my child's name. This child that I've made up is Unica Fredingham. And I'm going to name this by her first initial and her last name. In my head, Unica came out of the word unique, and Fredingham, I think I was thinking about Freddy Cougar. Alright. Next, I want to put her name in these fields. You will notice that fields B and C are merged together. But during the course of copying and pasting and entering information and setting this up, they might become unmerged, and that's okay. The next thing I want to do is put her annual goal in here. Now, it is ideal for you to copy and paste from your actual system, because when you copy and paste from a document, it may not copy and paste correctly, and I'm going to show you what that means. So I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to find her goals, and I know I'm at goals because it says measurable annual goals, and this first section is reading, which I've highlighted. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that goal, Control C. You're also welcome to right click and copy whichever one you're most comfortable with, but I use Control C. I'm going to go back to my spreadsheet, and I'm going to paste. Now you'll see that it did it on separate lines, so copying it out of a PDF is not always the best practice. It is easier to go ahead and copy directly from your software. So I'm going to delete that, and I've already put her goals into a Word document. And I can go ahead and paste this in a Word document just so you can see what I mean. You can see that even in a Word document, that it's on separate lines, so I did have to go through and remove the extra spaces in order for it to show up cleanly in terms of like straight sentences. So again, it is easier to copy directly from your software and not from the PDF. If your IEP downloads as a Microsoft Word document, it might be easy to copy from there, but mine downloads as a PDF. So I've gone ahead and set this up. So I'm going to copy the goal, go back to my spreadsheet. I'm going to paste that goal. Now you'll notice it's going all the way across, and that B and C are no longer merged. So I want to go ahead and merge them so that it all flows together. But what if I don't merge them? What if I go ahead and wrap the text without merging? This is what will happen. So in order to take up less space, you want to make sure B and C are merged together. And you also want to ensure that you wrap the text. Now what happens if you don't wrap the text? Then you cannot see all of your wording. So if you've merged it together and cannot see everything, just simply click on text wrapping and use the one in the middle to wrap your text. That way you can see everything. Alright, at this point, because the student has more than one objective, which I know, because objective 1 and objective 2, I want to go ahead and duplicate my spreadsheet for as many objectives as I need. I do that by going down here to the tab, and you'll see I've already labeled it Reading Objective 1. Right click, duplicate. When it duplicates, it's going to keep the goal up there. So even though I'm measuring two different objectives, the goal is the same, right? So now I'm going back to objective 1. I'm going to go and grab my first objective, Control C in order to copy, and go right beside objective, Control V to paste. Select both cells, merge them together, and then wrap the text. And I want to make sure that my other cells are merged together as well. Alright, I'm ready for objective 2. Right now it says copy of reading objective 1. I want to change the name of that so it is clear what is on that spreadsheet. So I'm going to rename Reading Objective 2, right? Now let's say you have multiple goals. It's a great idea to use this one data notebook to measure all the goals. And I do that by simply just creating more spreadsheets. So I right click and duplicate. Now of course the goal is going to be different. So I delete that goal. And you're welcome to create the spreadsheets before you start typing in them. But if you didn't, it's okay. Just delete the goal and then go back to the IEP and grab the new goal. There's my new goal. Control copy. For my sake, I'm going to do it in a Word document first so that I can go ahead and get the extra lines out so that it can copy correctly. Awesome. I got that copied. Then I'm going to go in here and paste it. And as always, highlight those cells, merge them together, and then wrap the text. You always want to make sure that your B and your C are merged together. Alright, so we're going to go back to our very first sheet. Now, we got the goal, we have the objective. Now, the question is how often data collection is required per IEP. And this is going to be different based on what child you have, okay? So here it says I want her to cite 2 pieces of textual evidence that support the given claim 4 out of 5 trials. Now, do I want that 5 trials in a week, 5 trials in a month? I really don't know because the IEP here is not that specific. But we do know that it is good to have at least 2 data points in a week. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine at 3 per week. All right. And I'm doing trials and she's looking for 2 pieces of textual evidence. The next question is type of data collected. In order to do that, I need to go back to my IEP and look for the method of measurement. So I'm looking at reading, and the method of measurement is student work, teacher made tests. Okay, so I'm going back here, student work, teacher made tests. Awesome. Now this is all set up and ready for me to collect data, right? You'll notice that my graph right here says score. So for some students, you'll actually need a score. And if it's pre-set up, you'll see the word score here. But for this student, I'm looking for 2 pieces of textual evidence. That's not a score. So I'm just going to name this number of evidence. Some people see the word score and assume that you're putting in a grade, but that is not what this IEP calls for. It is calling for 2 pieces of textual evidence, 4 out of 5 trials. So this date, trial 1, trial 2, trial 3, trial 4, trial 5. Textual evidence, let's say on day 1, she got 1. Next trial, she got 1, 2, and you'll notice that the graph is moving as I put in a number. Now, if yours is already set up and it has percentages, you might need to go and change the format of these numbers, right? So if I come here and I put in a 4, and you'll see it just goes to a blank number. And so I'm going to go ahead and change my format. If you need percentages, you can click percentages up here. If you need a number value, most of us will be using percentages, but right here where it has 1, 2, 3, you can change the measurement. You can change what type of number you're putting in. So for mine, I want to see what happens if I do automatic. Boom. I'm going to use automatic because I'm looking for number of evidence. Here she got 2. This time she got 3, 2, and 1. And you'll see that the numbers on the side of my graph changed based on what I put here, right? So if I go here, put 08, 7, 2018, and 08, 20, 2018. Now I have to be careful because I put the wrong date in, so it made my graph jump back. So let me go and correct that date. And let's change that to 17. So you'll see as I put in dates, the information at the bottom changes. As I put in the numbers here, it alters the information on the side, right? And let's say she went back down to 1. Okay? Awesome. All right, so you've seen where we put in our goal, we've put in our objective, how often data is collected, how that data is being collected. We have the space for our date, the space for our score or our evidence. I reminded you that you can change this box to say whatever you need it to say. It does not have to be score. I've also shown you that these values can be altered in terms of the type of values you're putting in. Automatic, plain text, number, percent, scientific, and as I click on things, you'll see that the graph changes accordingly. If I put percentage, then it changes to percentage. So I'm going to go back to my automatic. And there's also a place for notes. You also want to make sure that as you make instructional changes that you put that in your notes. You want to make sure that the notes really reflect what's going on with the student and gives as much detail as possible. Great! So this training has been about how to set up this Google Data Notebook and use it, and I hope you have found this helpful. As you know, there are still two other tabs, and I am excited to have you use this video and know that you will do amazing.